I would like to invite Mr. Merlin, who is a senior producer at Insurtech Insights, London, and he's actively building a community of Insurtech experts globally to lead the panel discussion on what will define the future of insurance. Over to you, Mr. Merlin Bites.
Thanks a lot. Really lovely to be here, guys. Thanks so much for having me, and great to see so many great names today. We're just going to start off, get right into it. We've got 20 minutes of discussion. We'll do 10 minutes of Q&A at the end. But let's do some intros first. So we'll start off with Marcus. Marcus, how about you introduce yourself to everyone?
Sorry, may you repeat? Sorry.
Marcus, how about you do a quick 10-15 second intro for everyone?
Oh, sorry. No, okay. Yeah. Hello, I'm Marcus from Berlin. I'm CEO and co-founder of RiskX. We are an Insurtech company.
Fantastic stuff. Erica, how about you introduce yourself next?
Yeah, hi everybody. So my name is Erika Krischan. I am sitting in beautiful Vienna and I am business innovation trainer. We are developing innovation culture in an insurance company, and I am organizing the Insurance Innovation Day in Vienna.
Wonderful. And last but definitely not least, Teresa.
Yes.
Thanks, Madeline. Yeah, happy to be here. Teresa was saying I have started the Asia Insurtech podcast. That was already in May 2019. What we do is we provide a platform for innovation happening in Asia. So each week we discuss how technology is reshaping the insurance industry in Asia. We talk to startups that are born in Asia, but also to thought leaders, insurance executives from leading insurance companies on how they are seeing the future of insurance. And yeah, super happy to be here today.
Yeah, it's great to have everyone on board. Teresa, lovely to be on a panel with you again. Quick intro to me, as mentioned before, I'm the senior producer at Insurtech Insights. I've been running our global webinars and organizing our conferences for the past year, building this incredible Insurtech community. Right, without any further ado, let's get into it. So, Teresa, let's just kick off with you. Let's start with this question. What's the definition of the insurance of the future? What's it gonna look like? I mean, we've got technology, we've got culture. Is it going to be a blend of the two? Do we need to separate them?
That's a really good question. I don't like to put an emphasis only on technology, right? Because at the end, it's not really about technology. It's about a change in consumer behavior. And that is, impacted by technology. Obviously, if we all think about how the smartphone alone has changed our all lives, right? Our lives look very, very different 20 years ago compared to what it does today, right? And that drives a certain expectation, and we have seen that products and services in all industries have actually changed, and the insurance industry is maybe a little bit of an exception, because we still see a lot of products that haven't really changed in the past decades, right? So some are still the same as they have been 50 years ago, right? And I think that is one part. The other part is also distribution of insurance hasn't really changed. It's still heavily agent-based or broker-based in most markets, right? And I really think the future of insurance will have this digital component, right? If it is either how insurance products are sold, but also how insurance products look like, right? Because if we have a change in customer behavior, if we have a change in the way we work, right? Gig economy, for example, that must also have an impact on what risks we are facing. And this is when we come back to what type of insurance products we actually need. So I think that is what really defines the future of insurance, and technology is the enabler here.
I couldn't agree more. I think right now there's a real need to innovate at speed. As we've seen from the last year, people are getting more used to the slick experience of Amazon, Facebook, Google, etc. I mean, Erica, I want to come to you here. I mean, Syria mentioned collaboration and partnerships earlier. Do you think, and Teresa just mentioned that, you know, enabling these new products, these new services, these new distribution models, how fundamental, how important do you think it's going to be for insurers, do you think, to really collaborate and really start working on those partnerships as soon as possible?
Yeah, I think sure. Also, without collaboration, without cooperation in this new ecosystem, everybody has to learn how can we do it, because you know the insurers has had other mindset I think 10 years ago, and this is something new. It's a lot of new insurtechs and new technology that how can we use our traditional mindset with this new innovation mindset. And for me, technology is only one part. So this is, of course, possible from one day to other day to use a new technology. But the other part of the insurance side is necessary to develop a mindset. Why should I cooperate with the insurance? What can we learn from each other? How can we use the innovation mindset to understand the clients, the customers? Because I think in the past, the insurance companies developed the product, process, and of course organization, and nobody asking the clients, do you want it? It was push to our sales channel, and it was so that I think this is a new mindset. This is a customer thinking, and from this point of view, the technology can help to develop this understanding from the customer perspective. And I think this is important, the learning approach.
I mean, you mentioned something pretty important there, you know, blending the traditional incumbents with that innovation mindset. I want to come to Marcus here. Have you found, obviously you guys work with a number of the traditional incumbents, right? I mean, have you found there to be a certain amount, you know, quite a lot of appetite to sort of, you know, use solutions like yours, or just in general, you know, in tech solutions to really start innovating at speed?
Yeah, I would say it depends. We worked for a long time, especially with the London market, and as always, we have people in there who have the innovative drive and want to bring something on the street and creating something new. There are some others who believe that how the value chain is acting is absolutely fine. Maybe it depends on who you ask and who is and how they are earning their money. We heard from Teresa the topic of brokers, for example. We discussed earlier the claim adjustment process in another panel. It should be more efficient. These are all possible, but in the end of the day, whom you ask in the corporate will be interesting, because if you ask a claim adjuster if he's interested in making the process more efficient and technical driven, maybe he will be not too happy about that if you tell him, if he supports you very great and very well, that in half a year is not anymore a job. So it depends a bit on the parties you are acting with, I would say.
It's a good point. I mean, Teresa, you're operating quite a lot in the Asian market, and we've seen solutions, you know, like Ping An developing their ecosystem, for example. This really starting to get really quite sophisticated indeed. Have you in the Asian market this drive, this appetite to innovate, to work with other companies, to just ultimately collaborate?
Well, I do believe the Asian market is in some ways ahead of the European and also the US market, right? And I believe there are several reasons for that. One reason being that especially the developing countries, they have just leapfrogged certain developments, right? So they were able to just leapfrog certain technologies. If you're looking at Cambodia, for example, I talked to a CEO from Cambodia, and he said like all of our agents have, working with iPads, completely digital contract signing, and then also claims management. But they built that from scratch, right? They had the advantage that there was like no legacy. They could, start from a greenfield. So I think that is one of the reasons. And also, I think we talk about this a little bit later as well, mindset and culture, right? They don't have to change a culture that has been developed over decades. I think that is definitely one of the reasons. And then also, in general, sometimes I believe Asia is in some ways more advanced when it comes to digital and ecosystems. Again, several reasons for that, right? One is also the leapfrogging of certain technologies. The other hand is also that Asia is not that conscious about data sharing. If I'm looking at the German market, everybody is like super conscious about sharing data. A lot are not using, credit card or mobile payments because they don't want to be tracked. So that is also a mindset thing. And you mentioned Ping An. Ping An is certainly one of the leaders globally, I believe, in the insurance innovation space. And they don't see themselves as an insurance company. They, say we are a tech company. And now with their 5 ecosystem approach, they really see the benefit of partnering with ecosystem, with, for example, Good Doctor in China or Auto Home, right, where they build contextual insurance, right? So they go where the need arises and where people understand, oh yeah, I actually need insurance, and that's where they are, and that's how they also are revolutionizing the distribution channels here.
I mean, it's interesting. You mentioned the fact that there's very little legacy in those emerging markets. Actually, one of our fellow speakers, Tunde, and I had a chat about this not so long ago. We were chatting about Africa and the fact that there is minimal legacy there. There's actually a great opportunity there. But I mean, coming back to the more mature markets, and Erica, I'll come to you on this one. How do you think the traditional carriers can get over this legacy barrier? We talk about it so much. I mean, every industry is talking about it right now, but in insurance, we particularly seem to get stuck on it. So Erica, do you think that this collaboration that we're talking about, these ecosystems, is this kind of not a silver bullet, but is this one kind of have we found a real solution to this legacy problem?
Yeah, I think this is one of the most interesting part. How can we learn this collaboration? And we have a tradition from the insurance side, and with legacy system, with a very successful industry, I think. And this tradition, the main question: how can we work together? What can we learn from Insurtech? And I prepared a study from the insurance, from the incubates with a traditional business model. How can you develop it like a digital insurance? And between, of course, you can see the insurance companies, or they are working with Insurtech. One part can be in a part of the value chain, because it is from this traditional business. I think the first step was what we learned, the insurance industry, for example, from Amazon and Co. How can I sell insurance products? And from this value chain approach, of course, we are learning the next steps, of course, from marketing automatization, from other side, the claims approach. And this is, of course, the evolution of the insurance industry. And from other side, what we are seeing that, for example, the insurance corporates will be a venture. I think this is a very usual approach, that if the insurance company is able to buy a share in an Insurtech, and of course look for the technology. And currently what we are searching, that not only Insurtech or fintech, they are invest in this approach. For example, they are investing a lot a lot of company that it could be the value chain in a other segment to support. For example, to develop a community, to use for the clients convenience, and they are looking how can they use, or how can use, for example, from another industry, the technology to create a value for our clients. And this is the second stage of the insurance evolution. And the third stage is, of course, if they are able, for example, start like a greenfield operation, digital insurance. And I think this is very easy, because you have the chance to create a new technology. You don't need any traditional business to migration or whatever, because this is a very big challenge, I think, in the insurance industry, because you know the legacy systems very old and not so dynamic. You cannot do from one day to other day to develop like a modern flexible system. And I think this is currently that some insurance companies developed a new digital insurance, and this is very interesting. It depends, of course, on the leaders of the companies, the CEOs, who are able to understand this new way. And the other approach what I am seeing in the world, in the insurance industry, that, for example, it depends on this leaders culture. For example, it's I call it cathedral thinking, because you know it's not enough to be innovative. It's not enough to think or to develop your company in this innovation mindset. You have to be able to think in a long perspective. Which technology are investing? Which part of the technology can I use in a long perspective? And this is what currently I think one of the main challenge. I am able to think the long risk or not? And yeah, this is very interesting evolution, and hopefully it will be a revolution as well.
I mean, let's actually take a step back. We've talked about, you know, how insurers can change, how we can kind of leapfrog this legacy. Marcus, I want to come to you and then Teresa on this one, because this is a big one. Teresa mentioned these consumer changes, right? The habits are changing. What exactly, Marcus, if you could just sort of talk us through, you know, what these consumer trends actually look like right now? What are the expectations of an insurer these days, and, you know, kind of looking forward to the future?
Yeah, I would say, as we already have heard, the smartphone changed a lot, and we are living in a digital area. And yeah, even I'm a part of the industry myself. I would always ask myself, what do I expect? Why do I or when do I think an insurer did a great job? From my perspective, when it's easy to understand, when the contract is easy to understand, on the one hand, when I understand what is really covered, and I would also say this was always the number one is the claim adjustment process within the insurance industry. And if I can do that easy via my smartphone or via my iPad or whatever, then I have a perfect customer centricity process. And this is, from my perspective, where we have to go, where the incumbents have to go, and where the startups can offer them support or bring them there, because of a different understanding, because of a better understanding of the digital environment. But as I mentioned, these are, from my perspective, the key facts: the trust of the consumer, that he knows what he has signed, that he knows what is really insured, and the adjustment process is done within, let's say, hours. On the other hand, I would say the risk landscape, as we already heard, is changing as well. So from the product side, I should be clear, or the product should fit to my requirements and my lifestyle, and there should also be an answer developed. But this is more or less the core of an insurance. Otherwise, the product would nobody buy. So in the customer journey itself should be easy to understand, easy to handle, and adapted by companies like Facebook, like Google, like Amazon, where we know how easy it is, how easy to handle their apps. And this should be, from my perspective, adapted into the insurance industry.
And Therese, I want to come to you. Marcus has quite rightly brought up the names like Facebook, these tech giants. Is their kind of the experience that they give, being able to very easily, buy products online. You can do it you can do it in your pants in your bedroom, right? So, I mean, is that having a really, really large effect on the consumer expectations of an insurer these days?
Well, I do believe, and if I'm taking a step back, what insurance companies have not been really good at is, thinking about the customer journey and thinking about human-centered design. And that is something that all these tech giants are really good at, right? They are really looking at, okay, what does the consumer want? What are they looking for? What is their behavior? If you're looking at Amazon, it's, small things that when you order a package and they have this like little thing where you can easily open the package and you're not frustrated on, needing a scissor or knife to open the package. These are really small things, but these companies are looking at that. Facebook, adding more buttons, not only the thumbs up, but the laugh and smile and hearty eyes emojis. They are really looking at what does the consumer want, and that is something that insurance companies have not done in the past years, right? So they developed a product which their actuaries had the data, and they internally believed, okay, that's a good product, that is what consumers need, and then they just paid agents to push this into the market, regardless if consumers actually need these products or not. And now with these new Insurtechs, but also the tech giants entering insurance and really coming from this different lens to really understand, okay, what is it actually that consumers need, and making products easier to understand, something that Marcus has mentioned as well. I think that will certainly have an impact, and now insurance incumbents are actually challenged to rethink their whole product development process and their servicing process, right? Because these new companies come in and show them like, that's actually not the way to do it. You have to come from the consumer. And I think that is really where we will see a difference with these tech companies coming in. They don't have yet the or in most cases, at least when you're talking about Amazon and also Tesla, the capabilities to be a licensed insurance carrier, right? Because that is difficult, and that is also one of the reasons why this industry hasn't been disrupted yet, right? Because it's heavily regulated. You need product approval. Also, the regulators are a little bit outdated in many cases, right? So they also don't necessarily understand new developments. So new product approvals are sometimes difficult, but we are seeing all these sandboxes coming up in various countries. And yeah, I think that's the start of a really big change we are seeing in the industry.
You mentioned that Facebook, these tech giants, get their humans, they have this human-centered product design, but they don't get it wrong every single time. They have actually failed in the process of getting that. It's really easy to forget. Facebook, for example, they brought up that you mentioned the kind of the smile reacts and so on. People were actually really annoyed about their first iteration of that. They then, they failed fast. They kind of tested. They learned really quick, right? And I just want to. Just finally with Erica, do you think that insurers really are, testing and learning, failing fast? They have this opportunity, right? They've got enough customers. it's not really going to be the lemonades and the hippos who are going to eat Allianz's lunch, right? That's probably not going to happen anytime soon. So there's this opportunity here, right? And Erica, from your perspective, just before we move on to the Q&A, do you think that insurers are actually taking this opportunity right now to, try new things out, test, fail, learn?
Yes, I think they are learning, but from other side, if the GAFA, this is the Google, Amazon, Facebook, and Apple, this is of course I think the most developed technology behind the innovation, and they are learning. It would be not from one day to other day from a big insurance traditional group, this technology company, but they have a big data volume. Of course, the data volume is, from my point of view, the quality is not really high. It means that if you have a data quality not very high amount, and from other side, if you don't have the flexible technology, it's really difficult. But from other side, if Amazon and Google and Co want to develop insurance company, they can do it from one day to other day. Like, is some trying in different market. And this is, I think, it could be a disadvantage for the insurance if these companies decided to be a digital insurance, because they have a really advantage in this case. But what they are learning, the traditional insurance companies, how can I to take a technology to develop an embedded solution? It means in different touch points to give the insurance or the risk opportunities. From other side, they are learning how can I do the integrated approach. It's in different part of the value chain. And of course, that with the technology is possible to do it automated. And I think this is a very good learning approach in the long frist, that we are learning from these technology companies. And what I say, this is in every market. I think you don't look to your competitor on the market, to the insurance company. You have to look to these tech giants, and of course what the Insurtech doing, and to use these opportunities with your finance strong background, with your clients volume, and of course to develop, because this is my favorite project, to how can you understand your client and where is the pain, and to develop for this the solution, convenience. And this is with creativity, with your colleagues in the insurance industry. I think it could be a very good opportunity for the future, because as I mentioned, they are learning, and they have a chance to do it. If the company doesn't do today nothing, it could be the problem and in 10 years, because it is too long time, too exponential the developing of the technology. Don't do today nothing. And this is, I think, the most danger for some traditional companies, that they don't want to learn, because no, it's enough capital, enough premium, it's no danger for the company. But in the long perspective, it could be a danger. And I think I try to motivate every leader in the insurance company to understand this technology, to understand the new mindset of the future, and to be innovative with a mindset to think like a cathedral thinking. And this is, I think, very important to understand.
I couldn't agree more. Right, let's open it up to the Q&A here. I mean, I know we've got a few questions in the chat box, but I mean, if anyone wants to kind of just turn on and throw up their hands, let's get some questions to our speakers.
if anyone isn't going, I can start to get the momentum going.
Please do.
Where, yeah, thanks a lot. I was really excited to get the insights and see the way in which the future is emerging and the need to look at the long-term point of view in making decisions rather than the near-term view of what's happening in the market. So that again reinforces the earlier points of resilience building. One question for me is that the insurtech and insurance industry, as Surya pointed out earlier, has come from the marine insurer, the Lloyd's Register, and a little before that. And so from logistics, there is logistics happening, a lot of it. So industry is maturing in technology. Then big tech, which is irrespective of logistics, is happening. The entire thing about sense making, data, meaning. Then there is telecom revolution that's happening, where independent players are again shaping up and creating the future and influencing. So three different what do you call influencers who can come and take over the insurance industry, in my opinion. At least one what do you call future scenario. Where do you think would be a best practice? What do you call if you need to benchmark or if you need to move ahead of some of these players and keep insurance as the what you call core influencing industry, where should you learn from, or who is the threat? Is it the big tech or the logistics or telecom?
I try to answer from my perspective because I think to fund the Insurtech, it's not a sexy story. I think if you wake up in the morning, I think it would be not the first industry that to want to disrupt. I think this is my personal point of view because you have to have the background. I think without some knowledge to understanding this whole approach, it's sometimes is demotivated. If you want to fulfill every regulatory, for example, and in this case, I think it's really very difficult. And sometimes if you have a change or if you need something to send to regulatory, and this is more than 200 pages, and you need a lawyer to compliance, to actuary and everything, this is not so really interesting. But from other side, if somebody understands the industry and they want to work in this point and they understand the new technology, people have the chance to disrupt or to build a digital insurance and like a great approach, and they understand the clients, and I think this is from the Insurtech side is a very important case, and from other side to learn and from the insurance companies and to use the technology that you can cooperate together, because the insurance companies has a lot of clients. The Insurtech has a lot of idea and the technology, the knowledge, because I think the traditional companies has not really intern this knowledge that to need to new approach, and I think this combination could work.
Thank you very much, Erika.
So any more questions?
Seems like our speakers have done a pretty top-notch job then.
Yep, I guess so. Unless you would like to, Mr. Ganguly, unless you would like to read out some of the questions in the chat box and see if they are relevant still.
Yes, I will take that. I think we have a question from Claudia. Do you see future for Insurtech in P&C versus the discussed widely individual and life and health insurance activity? Anyone from the panel? Do you want me to repeat it? So her question is, do you see future for Insurtech in PNC versus the discussed widely individual life and health insurance activities?
So I guess the question might, you want to have a crack at this?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, the answer is yes. The question I have now, what do you define as Insurtech, right? I think in PNC, there's massive opportunities for what I call Insurtech enabler, right? Especially if you're looking at the claims process, if you are looking at fraud detection, or if you're looking at claim inspection, things like computer vision, where great startups out there that are working on providing the technology for that. But I also believe there are great opportunities for Insurtechs really developing new products in that space. And so yeah, my answer would be definitely. Anyone else?
Yeah, I think from both sides, it's a big opportunity. If you are using the technology, for example, in PNC, I think the prevention thinking and the technology is able to, for example, if you are in the water damage and you have a sensor, and with your app, you can decrease the cost of the claims damage. I think it's a big opportunity in this case, not only to be or to reduce the cost and increase the convenience for the clients. And from other side, in the life and health insurance, I think I see the big opportunity in the prevention view again. For example, with variable, how can you manage your health, and which impact is for the insurance company? This is, I think, the main point. How can you develop your business model to use the technology? And this is very important.
All right. So I get to see there is one more questions. Okay, they have mentioned thank you for the insightful. Any questions from the audience side?
I think we're all good. Pretty short, concise session we've got here. We've covered quite a lot, I think.
Wonderful, wonderful. So thank you, Merlin, and thank you all the panelists, Teresa, Erica, Dr. Marcus. It was an indeed wonderful session with lots of takeaways and the insights for our future of insurance. Few of them are very interesting, that it's not the technology, it's a change in consumer behavior, and though there are more changes in the distribution and more collaboration needed. And to sum it up, few more, that the mindset and culture, how it's impacting the future of insurance, and so on. And there are a lot of opportunities in terms of the Asian market,